everything is crashing. Huge losses right across the equity markets. Crypto's holding up kind of decently at the moment, which is interesting to see. We'll talk about that. Iran tensions flaring again. We got a lot to talk about in today's video. We got SpaceX, we got crypto charts, we got a lot of stuff. Let's go. So first and foremost, U.S. military struck Iran overnight, hitting more than 80 targets, warning it would hold Tehran accountable over further violations of the deal after strikes on tankers crossing the Strait of Hormuz yesterday. And of course, Iran had to retaliate. Iranian army says it's targeted U.S. bases in Bahrain. Also, Kuwait got hit too. So escalation once again. Donald came out and says the U.S.-Iran ceasefire is over. He said, don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum, they're sick people, they're vicious, they're violent. Not the kind of people who would, murder the leadership of an entire country after negotiating a peace deal with them. Anyway, complicated situation. Markets don't like it. Raises a lot of risks right now for the markets, especially at a time when Ukraine has been very aggressively hitting Russian infrastructure, not only Russian export infrastructure for their oil, but also Russian refining infrastructure. Russia, of course, being the second biggest or third biggest, depending on the day, exporter of petroleum products in the world. It's a big deal. So we have a large crisis unfolding again before us. Strait of Hormuz probably effectively closed again after the strikes yesterday and today. It's very problematic. Now, can the U.S. keep successfully escorting ships out of the Strait of Hormuz via the Oman corridor? Well, yesterday proved that they can't do it without them getting hit. We had 3 tankers hit yesterday. Not great. Now, one of those tankers caught fire. One of them sustained minor damage and got away, and one, I think, turned back. So it's a lot of things going on here that are not immediately apparent, but certainly the risk is rising. Oil pumped on the news, going from $70 to $78 in the last 2 days. Not fantastic. You want to see that continue its downtrend. Now, if we just get a higher low here, a lower high, I should say, then yeah, okay, fine. If we get some kind of conciliatory comments from Trump in the next few days. You know how he does it. Of course, they waited until after U.S. market closed yesterday to drop the bombs, as they always do. They don't want to affect the markets. Well, the markets have priced it in overnight. If we see some kind of, by over the weekend, well, we're going to go back to talks. The Monday, everything rips again. Yeah, it's kind of the Trump playbook at this point. So don't discount that from happening. Joe Kent says the MOU is effectively dead. We're back to attempting to find a military solution to the Strait of Hormuz. The problem is that we signed the MOU because there was no military solution. We needed to have the Strait of Hormuz open. The best option just to walk away. If we walk, Iran has no justification for targeting ships, and we can use sanctions relief as a carrot as opposed to risking a larger war in these ineffective tit-for-tat strikes. Bitcoin, of course, sold off on that news, coming down to $61,600, bouncing off of the support line, though, for the falling wedge pattern that we've been tracking here over the last few weeks. That's interesting. If Bitcoin can hold above $61,500, then there's a case to be made for this just being the first higher low and a potential new uptrend forming. So this would be the first high, and this would be the higher low, and then you'd want to see it push back up to the 50-day EMA in the coming week or so. That's the hopium. Now, on the trade side, the Jupiter trade got stopped out on this morning's dump. Solana trade now sitting at a slight unrealized loss. Bitcoin trade at slightly less profit than it was before. I've added a little bit to the Bitcoin trade based on the idea that we could bounce off that top of the falling wedge support previous resistance line, now turning that into support as a bullish retest. I've moved the stop loss up on this, though, to $61,000. So worst case scenario is we get stopped out on both the Bitcoin and Solana trades for essentially a break even, which sucks. All the targets I've had on my trades recently have been reasonable targets, but we're in a bear market, so reasonable targets don't really get hit on crypto coins, unfortunately. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. The Ethereum trade, of course, got triggered again yesterday. The double bottom breakout at 1810 got triggered, and then it got stopped out at 1780 a few hours later. Thanks, Donald. Thanks. Anyway, if you want to join me trading over on BitUnix, there's the link down below. You can trade stocks. You can trade crypto. You can trade metals. You can trade oil. You think oil's going to rip? You can trade oil. They got you covered over there. You can trade all the top assets in the world on BitUnix. All you have to do is use the link down below to start your account. deposit some USDT because it's all tradable via USDT. Native crypto rails trade all the markets in the world, and make a trade. And you win $1,000 every day, Monday to Friday. We're giving away $1,000 to one lucky trader. We're already giving away $2,000 a week. We're giving away another $1,000 today. You could be one of those lucky winners. Let's go ahead and draw that right now. By the way, when you sign up to the Inner Circle, which is our private research and trading group, you will also get an $80 a month rebate from the guys over at BitUnix. Now it costs $50 a month to join our group. You get $80 back from BitUnix. You get a 7-day free trial. You get things like tech stock reports on Micron Tech before its 450% rally. You get things like short calls, like the recent Bitcoin dip, the recent Zcash dump. Members printed big money on those. Come in, click the link down below, see what you've been missing. We'd love to see you. ELL@hotmail.co.uk. You have just won $1,000. Congratulations. Enjoy it. Don't spend it all in one place. Okay. The VIX, the volatility index, had a big spike this morning. Unsurprising, of course, because risks are rising in the markets. People don't know how the Iran situation is going to play out. Will it get worse? So look, the VIX spike up to, where do we get to? 18.8. It's not that dramatic yet. If we see risks rising, the VIX will spike more. Now, when we see the VIX run up 20 plus, really in the 30 plus range, that tends to be great buying opportunities for equities in particular. So we'll see if that plays out, if we get an actual sort of big spike here, or if this is just a temporary sort of situation. Everybody expects that Donald Trump by Monday next week will walk it back. In that situation, the VIX won't spike all that hard, and there'll be buying opportunities coming for savvy investors. The Korean stock market now down 23% from the highs on the 19th of June. Life comes at you fast, doesn't it? Now in a bear market. Korean stocks went from raging bull market into a bear market within 2 weeks. That, of course, mostly being led by SK Hynix and Samsung, which made up 50% of the index. So we'll see. 200-day EMA is right down here around 6,100. That would be the spot you want to see a good bounce come in at. That would be a 35% drawdown. Not unheard of by any means. We'll see how it goes. If that is the bounce area, that's a good place for market recovery to come in. The Nasdaq looking to open at potentially 700. I've seen that a little bit lower today, around 697 or something like that as well. So, but generally looking for a red day on the Nasdaq. That would mean that this triangle pattern, which we've been tracking, which again is normally a continuation pattern to the upside, could be in that sort of 1 in 3 situation because of the overriding macro news, where it becomes a downside signal. If it is a downside signal, then the breakdown target's around 650, which is right around here. You can see there was some price support resistance in that area. Not a lot, okay? The bigger move actually is down here to retest the big previous resistance here and flip that into support. That'd be a 15% drawdown and come in line with approximately the 200-day EMA. Again, one thing out of Trump's mouth in the conciliatory tone, and we could, of course, see this rip right back up. Perhaps this is Trump's time to say, let's cool the markets off a little bit. It's funny because I think 2 days ago, Donald Trump was bragging, short sellers are all going to get wrecked. And then, of course, he bombs Iran again, and short sellers were right, apparently. Jeez Louise. Now, short sellers are never right in the long term. It's only a short-term play. Stocks continue to just go up and to the right basically forever. But there are big drawdowns, and we've had a massively overheated run on the NASDAQ and stuff like that. So a decent correction, or at least a decent accumulation period, would be a welcome sign, in my opinion, anyway. So Ricky Ho posted this. Morgan Stanley's message is nuanced. They're not turning bearish on AI. They're arguing that the memory trade is transitioning from its explosive first phase into a more normal phase of the cycle. The memory super cycle may be slowing down, and you could expect more normal returns from these memory stocks moving forward versus the explosive moves that you've already seen on them. So it doesn't say, it's not to say that they're bad investments and that this is probably a dip for buying, but that you shouldn't be expecting the kind of exponential growth that you saw in these over the past sort of 6 to 12 months. Cerebrus, we're keeping an eye on this one now, well below this breakout trend line here, continuing to put in basically downtrend signals of lower highs and lower lows. Now we're going to see if this ends up being a lower low here with price keeping pushing down. If the NASDAQ drops another 5% or something like that, I can see this putting in a new lower low down at like 150 or something like that. Wouldn't be a surprise at all to me personally. $800 price target for SpaceX. Actually, I saw another one today. It was $900, $900 price target for SpaceX. All these big analysts coming out saying strong buy rating, buy SpaceX with 5% float and with 60% float by November. They want you to be exit liquidity. Now, again, I think SpaceX long-term, great, cool company doing really cool shit, like really cool rockets in space, man. Come on. It's awesome. But your average IPO draws down 50 to 70% in the first year. Now, if it was to draw down from the IPO price, that puts it around like $70 or something like that for a 50% drawdown. A 70% down from the IPO price would be in the $40 range. I mean, like I said, if you find SpaceX under $50, that's probably a screaming buy. Hey, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe to that channel. It's free. Analytics show that most of you guys who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. It takes a quick second to subscribe, and then you'll get these videos in your feed in the future. Thank you very much. Let's talk about crypto. Zcash founder Zuko Wilcox said Project Tachyon is close to mathematically proving that there are no counterfeiting bugs in Zcash's latest shielded pools. Now that is very interesting. If they pull that off, they can verify that there were no counterfeiting bugs. That becomes pretty interesting because I think that was a big overhang risk. You know, we had that exploit that happened where, you know, this bug had existed for 2 years that could have let people, if a hacker had found it, they could have, in theory, minted infinite Zcash within the shielded pool and nobody would ever know, which is kind of a poisoning problem for Zcash. Now, if they can indeed mathematically prove that there was no counterfeiting in the shielded pools, that's probably pretty good. And that probably brings a lot of interest back into Zcash as a trade. Now, Zcash has been, look at this, huge consolidation. Wild run up from $50 up to, where'd it get up to? $750. Me fading Naval Ravikant's shill. Don't do it again, Lark. You've seen Naval Ravikant shilling a crypto again, just buy it. Don't think, just buy it. Ape, Lark, ape. Anyway, besides the point. Now it is consolidating. The distribution is happening. Now, if it consolidates and continues to consolidate within this broader triangle pattern, then there's a good case to be made that this will resolve to an upside eventually. But there's a lot of time and space between here and when the next major upside breakout could come. I mean, if you draw this triangle out to its terminus point, it's a long way out there, man. We're talking into 2027. I'm not saying it'll consolidate necessarily for that long. It could, certainly could. But that's the structure we're dealing with right now. Multiple touch points on the bottom support line, multiple touch points on the top resistance line. So we have a valid chart pattern forming up here now. Jupiter dumped pretty hard. Man, so close too. This sort of breakout we've been waiting for a very long time. Well, it ended up being an effing fake out. Gosh darn it. I still think the revenue model and the new launches from Jupiter and stuff like that are going to make a difference and that this will get some extreme buybacks happening over the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months. And that this will go higher. So still bullish on Jupiter from the bottom, let's say. But short term, it is selling off everything else in the crypto markets. Solana's transaction activity had another all-time high, 2x as much activity as when Solana was $295. The most active Solana has been in its history. 5 times more transactions than ETH and 6 times more than Base, yet Solana's trading at $80. True, I think there's some real opportunity right now for accumulating Solana here. Also, Solana chart looking relatively interesting. Now, remember I was saying the other day, we got this uptrend forming where we had the first higher high, the next higher low, next higher high. I said, well, we're probably going to get this move back to a higher low at some point here. Well, that could be right here. Very compelling right now, sitting at the 20 and 50-day EMAs. You'd really want to see it bounce there. Now, it could still come back down to like $70 or something and maintain that overall higher high, higher low uptrend structure, but it'd be nice and clean if it bounced off the 20 and 50-day EMAs, but we're going to have to see how the U.S. stocks do today. Currently looking for a red open. That could cause broader panic and searching for cash and people selling off stuff that they can get cash for, like their Solana bags. So we'll see how that goes. But if we bounce there, the target remains the 200-day EMA around $96, $97. Elisa posted this, very interesting. Most meme coins on Robinhood chain gained 5 to 10x over the past few days. Cash cap from $7 to $107 million. These other ones up big time as well. Guys, I'm feeling old. I can't keep up with all the meme coin games anymore. Yeah, I just buy my Bitcoin and live in peace. Gosh darn it. I don't want to bridge to a new chain. Stop it. Stop. Why? Now, look, jokes aside, what has tended to happen in the history of cryptocoins, and maybe Robinhood chain is different. It's always can be different this time. What tends to happen, new chain launches, liquidity bridges over. People launch a bunch of meme coins. If you're super, super early to that, if you're one of the first people to bridge, you ape into these random meme coins, okay. What will then happen is that you'll see a bunch of money get made in a very short time on these meme coins. They all dump into oblivion a few days later, and nobody ever talks about them ever again. Liquidity bridges off the chain and goes and does something else. That tends to be the pattern. Now, maybe because it's Robinhood's chain, it'll be stickier and people will stick around and these memes will do better. But usually what I've seen, no matter how bullish the chain is, whether it be Blast or Mega ETH or Monad or the other dozens of chains and layer 2s that have launched, money comes in, they launch a bunch of memes, they all pump for a few days, and then in a week or two, nobody remembers any of this stuff ever happened and everybody moves on. Will that happen this time? I don't know. We're going to find out. Let's talk about Ethereum real quick, just to give you an update on that double bottom pattern that we'll be keeping an eye on. Of course, rejected again at the neckline, 3-4 days rejection at the neckline, 3-4 days rejection at the 50-day EMA. Unfortunately, we did not get enough momentum to get past that. If we can keep above the 20-day EMA here at $1,710, maybe it provides a convincing enough argument that we'll bounce here, push back up, retest that, break above it, and of course then keep targeting the 200-day EMA, which is around $2,200 right now. The technical breakout for this is $2,100, but I can see it's pushing up to the 200-day in that scenario. So I'll keep an eye out for it, let you know when I try to trade this again. So far, I've been stopped out 2 times on that trade. So close, man. So close, but we got caught on the wicks both times here. I'll try to trade this again later, see what happens. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.